Give a talk on fear. And then in a few more minutes on Tuesday, Constance is going to give a talk on anger. I'm really looking forward to both of them. Um, uh, May 3rd, Pepperwood. Apparently it's full, but there's still a waiting list. So if you're interested, get your name on the waiting list. This Sunday, Vitas, that does legal work for immigrants. They're doing a big fundraiser and a big dinner, but if you go, which is quite expensive, because it's a fundraiser. But they've given Indivisible and people related to Indivisible a really good deal so that people can come. And it's dinner and it's really good music and it's a way to support a really good organization. It's Sunday night in Santa Rosa at the Friedman Center, I think. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll show you the link. It's $25 for dinner music donation. And
I'm sorry, what was the date?
this Sunday, this Sunday night. And at the end of next week, we'll be completing this round with our focus on Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings, and we're going to focus on bodhisattvas. And our primary text will be Taigen Dan Layton's Faces of Compassion. We're going to look at the bodhisattva archetypes. And I'm going to also just expand it out some from beyond what, but we'll do some Mantabhadra and Maitreya and Manjushri. I mean, the whole pantheon, because we need all of them, and especially in these times. And I think it'll be fun because I'm going to ask other people to jump in too. Okay, that's all I have to say. Go, Mary Ann.
Okay, well, thank you for showing up. Could you?
Oh, you need this.
Oh, do I need that?
Yeah,
That's
Allow
right.
me.
And would you guys move in closer and somebody shut the door? Cause it may get noisy out there. I just have to have my. Are you gonna be doing bells? I will be ringing that bell here and there. Okay. Not much, but to come closer, please, because it really messes with my neck to have to.
You like to do storytelling.
I like people close. You are my friends. You support me. And blessings, everyone online. It's like,
Is this too quiet?
well, it might upset the others.
Be careful what you ask for.
It just feels in this space, it's more intimate. And we need that. So this book, Fear by Thich Nhat Hanh, is a wonderful book. It's the book that Chris suggested, and I had read it before, but I reread it. It's a really easy read. I highly recommend it, and partly I recommend it because Thich Nhat Hanh is amazing. You think he's this guy who just talks nice, but he's so steeped in the teachings of Buddhism. And in this, he manages to go over a lot of what was in the 50 verses. He touches on the five remembrances, the Alaya consciousness, the storehouse consciousness. He touches on that. Later, he talks about the full awareness of the breath, which is a whole teaching and sutra that the Buddha gave, but he puts it like, oh yeah, I can do that. That's easy. Now, I'm not going to talk about any of those specifically because also in this book, he talks about a way of approaching fear and of working with fear, and that's what I'm most interested in. And just as a little sort of laying out in advance some of that, it's basically cultivating the ability to notice fear in our bodies and our minds, stopping, calming, and then being curious. What is it? Being curious, listening inside. once you've stopped and calmed. And then response or transformation. That's sort of the most of what I'm going to talk about that, but I'm going to use some of his words as well. And he does talk about how important this is to work with fears, because we lock up a lot of our good energy in being fearful. And it's energy that we could have for connection, for working with the difficulties. So it releases energy, good energy. So I want to set the stage by reading to you a little bit from his introduction, except I have to say something about it. He calls his introduction fearlessness. And at first I think, oh, does this mean I have to have no fears? That doesn't sound right. And it isn't what fearlessness means. Fearlessness means cultivating a means for being with our experience of fears in our body, in our minds, in our hearts. And, when it's the experience of not putting fear over there as some opponent, right? But being with it, integrating our anxieties, our fears, we're connected. So if that's fearlessness, it's not saying don't ever have fear. Give that up. So here's what he says in the beginning, which I find very kind and helpful. He says, and this is a bit long, it's a few paragraphs, and I'm actually going to pause after each paragraph and suggest you kind of let your imagination ponder what he's just said, and then I'll ring the bell to go to the next paragraph. So he says, most of us experience a life full of wonderful moments and difficult moments. But for many of us, even when we are most joyful, there is fear behind our joy. We fear that this moment will end, that we won't get what we need, that we will lose what we love, or that we will not be safe. Often our biggest fear is the knowledge that one day our bodies will cease functioning. So even when we are surrounded by all the conditions for happiness, our joy is not complete. So just pause a moment to consider the kinds of fears that arise for you. So he goes on. We think that to be happier, we should push away or ignore our fear. We don't feel at ease when we think of things that scare us, so we deny our fear away. Oh no, I don't want to think about that. We try to ignore our fear, but it is still there. So, I'd like you to just imagine for a moment the kinds of ways that you push away your fear. For me, it's almost a body thing. I go, and it's a movement to the right. It's like, no. It's a tensing, a tightening. What about for you? Just take a moment and then I'll ring the bell. The only way to ease our fear and be truly happy is to acknowledge our fear and look deeply at its source. Instead of trying to escape from our fear, we can invite it up to our awareness and look at it clearly and deeply. I'll read this again because this is fearlessness. The only way to ease our fear and be truly happy is to acknowledge our fear and look deeply at its source. Instead of trying to escape from our fear, we can invite it up to our awareness and look at it clearly and deeply. So that's what this talk is about. So as you listen to the talk, I want you to use your imaginations as much as possible, and I'll give some specific suggestions around imagination later on. Our imagination can really help us with working with fear. So he talks then about the origins of fear, and it's important to think about the origins of fear. And I'll read you a little bit. This is a few paragraphs. I think it's really sweet. So bear with me. Many of us don't remember this, but a long time ago, we lived inside our mother's wombs. We were tiny living human beings. There were two hearts inside your mother's body, her own heart and your heart. During this time, your mother did everything for you. She breathed for you, she ate for you, drank for you. You were linked to her through your umbilical cord. Oxygen and food came to you through the umbilical cord, and you were safe and content inside of your mother. You were never too hot or too cold. You were very comfortable. You rested on a soft cushion made of water. In China and Vietnam, we call the womb the palace of the child.
Mhm.
You spent about 9 months in the palace. The 9 months you spent in the womb were some of the most pleasant times of your life. Then the day of your birth arrived. Everything felt different around you, and you were thrust into a new environment. You felt cold and hunger for the first time. Sounds were too loud. Lights were too bright. For the first time, you felt afraid. This is original fear. So connect with that right from our births. There's this kind of original fear or maybe aversion, that's in our bodies in a way that it's just part of being in a physical body. Well, inside the palace of the child, you didn't need to use your own lungs. But at the moment of your birth, someone cut the umbilical cord and you were no longer physically joined with your mother. Your mother could no longer breathe for you. You had to learn how to breathe on your own for the first time. If you couldn't breathe on your own, you would die. Birth was an extremely precarious time. You were pushed out of the palace and you encountered suffering. You tried to inhale, but it was difficult. There was some liquid in your lungs. And to breathe in, you had to first push that liquid out. We were born, and with that birth, our fear was born, along with the desire to survive. This is original desire. So, fear, it's just part of being in a human body. Let's be kind with ourselves. And it originates way back before we would have any memory. It would just be a physical response. It wouldn't be like thought. And then, so it's hardwired in our bodies. And I think this is so important because we must be very kind with ourselves. Fear is not bad. It just is. Fear is also the instinct to survive. Really. We have a body, we want it to keep it. It keeps us safe. Sometimes it keeps us safe, and sometimes fear prevents us. Sometimes it prevents us in healthy ways from doing like a dangerous thing or something. But sometimes, if it stems from something old in our lives, from when we were young, maybe a trauma or something, the fear, at those times, we needed those fears and we needed to act in the way that the fear told us to. But now, perhaps a situation triggers those past experiences, except things are different now, and we actually don't need to respond in those old ways. but we do. So that's important. So sometimes these fears outlive their usefulness. We all have fears that originate in addition to from being born, from our experiences, perhaps from trauma, perhaps early trauma, perhaps later if you had PTSD from something, or from family or other experiences. Some we have also some fears that maybe originate from just our genetic physical makeup. And I want to give an example of that from myself. When I was a very little girl, back to my earliest memories, I did not like to be in any kind of crowd or where there was loud noises or where individuals might be making a lot of noise. So I would cry and try to get out of there. I felt very reactive to sounds and to energy coming toward me. I remember in being 3 and going to nursery school, and there was a little girl with red hair who cried a lot and made a lot of noise. I didn't want to she frightened me. And I still notice that when I come into contact with maybe a lovely person, but who has a big personality and a loud voice and a lot of energy, I shy away. I don't want to know that person. Fear arises. So I have to work with that fear. But that's just part of my genetic makeup. I think it's part of how my brain is wired, you know, that I have that kind of response. So I've been learning to be kind to myself, but also work with these responses. No judgments. We come by our fears honestly. Let's be kind to ourselves. So right now, take a moment, maybe close your eyes, and feel into fears that you may have experienced and may still experience, just for a moment. So practicing with fear. Our Buddhist practice is a body practice in great part, right? We come to the cushion, we sit down, we settle down, we come to our breath in our bodies, we touch the earth, and we're settled and connect to our bodies. It's a body practice. We feel grounded in our breath, in our bodies. I have an image that helps me a great deal when I practice, and especially when I'm anxious or fearful and I need to sit down and calm and see what's going on. Um, I have an image of the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree. Now, you know, the Bodhi tree was a kind of fig tree, and there were these, I think there are these huge roots that go out, right? And so it wasn't like he sat under that liquid amber tree out there, this little tiny little thing. He was he was cradled, he was held in the arms of the roots of this tree. That's where he sat. And I bring that image of sitting cradled by the roots of a tree, roots that go deep into the earth and then the branches up to the sky and just right there connected. And that image helps me. And you may have other images that help you. But it helps me. And when he wrestled with Mara, you know, all his fears and different things, eventually he did the touching the earth gesture, and the earth rose up sort of to meet him and to say, yes, I belong, you can be here on this earth, present. So, do you have imagery yourself that helps ground you? Helps you, or a sense of being grounded in your body and breath that you can call on. Take a moment just to see if there's any image that you might have that helps you. So, knowing that we can ground ourselves, that we can come back to Zazen, to our practice, to our cushion, or even if we're out and about, we can come back to that image and be grounded, even if you're in the car or walking or talking to somebody or on the sidewalk and fear is arising. You can come back. So, but you have to know the signals of when fear is kind of arising and dominating. And so the signals are from what are the signals in your body that indicate tension or fear? First, pay attention to the body sensations. Like for me, my jaw tightens. I get a sudden sort of, and heat rising up through me. It's like, my shoulders might hurt, or maybe later, maybe I didn't notice when it was happening, but my shoulders hurt later because I've been tensing them. Shallow breathing. You probably have signals too, like that. Also, another signal I have is this, and maybe you do, sort of, if I'm thinking, I'm really worried, maybe I'm worried about the world or about a friend or about anything, and I just can't stop my thinking, and it just spirals, it snowballs. That's also an indication, it's a signal to me that I'm really getting caught up in fear. Well, Thich Nhat Hanh is so kind. He talks about this, using these signals of our body and our mind as bells of mindfulness. It's just a bell of mindfulness. It's not bad, it's not awful or anything. It's a bell of mindfulness that says, oh, stop. Come back, take some breaths, ground in your body and center and settle and calm. He talks about stopping and coming back as soon as we can, as soon as we notice this fear. I mean, because my initial response on noticing fear is I want to push it away. I was, no, or cover it, like go have some ice cream or something. Do anything except then I get a stomach ache. But no, come back, take some breaths wherever you are. Come back to awareness of your breath, of your feet on the ground. If you can sitting, touching the earth. Maybe stop wherever you are and take 3 quiet breaths. And he encourages the use of gathas, you know this, any little poems. And one that I found that he uses is called harmonizing the breath. It's this, it goes, you could do it with me if you want. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Well, that's a little long for me. I have a shorter one, so do this shorter one with me. It's like this. In, out. Deep, slow. Present moment, wonderful moment. It slows me down, calms my breath. I was doing it a little bit during Zazen beforehand, before giving this talk. It's so helpful. It calms my mind too and reminds me to stay present in this moment. I used to think that last line, present moment, wonderful moment, would think, yeah, right. This is a crappy moment. I feel all kinds of stress and stuff, and I don't like it. But in thinking about it, it's like present moment, just right here. Wonderful moment. That's gratitude that in this moment, this second, this nanosecond, we are right here in our bodies on this planet, right here. And that's an amazing gift. And this moment is a wonderful moment. The world may be going to blow up or something in a few minutes, but this moment right here, I can return to and be safe and whole and sound. So I've really taken to that phrase, present moment, wonderful moment, as a means of calming. Well, it's helpful also then when fear arises to have, and you calm yourself, then perhaps have some helpful visualizations. Sometimes I imagine Buddha, the Buddha, as however I imagine him or her. I have a Buddha with breasts on my altar, so I might imagine her, him, or I don't know. And I imagine the Buddha inviting me over, come sit by me. Just sit here. And I imagine just sitting right next to the Buddha in the midst of this emotion, this fear that I'm feeling. And and the Buddha reminds me, just stop and breathe. Sometimes I imagine being held in the arms of a great tree. And now this might be, well, this isn't exactly Buddhist, but I also imagine offering myself, my fear, first to the Buddha perhaps, but also into the arms of the Great Mother. And that's not a Buddhist phrase, but it's helpful to me. Just offer into the arms of the Great Mother of the earth. Or some other image, whatever image works for you. Use your imagination to find what holds and is nurturing. I have on my altar a statue of Kuan Yin that she's painted, and she's painted with all the birds and butterflies and plants and every waterfalls. And it reminds me that Kuan Yin is present in everything with us. She's right here. And so I can ground with her. And I often then visualize, and I don't have to be at my altar anymore because I can just see her. I visualize her helping me hold this fear and surrounding me with healing light as I'm being with it. Well, what about you? Do you have any such images? Take a moment and just see what arises if you have any of these kind of images that help. Well, I'm gonna read you a little more from Thich Nhat Hanh now to sum this up before we go into the listening deeply section. So this, it's a little long. Doing all right. Every one of us has the capacity to be mindful, focused, understanding, and compassionate. That quality is inherent in everyone. You can call it Buddha nature. So when you say, I take refuge in the Buddha, you don't mean that you take refuge in a kind of God that exists outside of you. It means that you have confidence in your capacity to understand and to love. When the Buddha was very old, just before he died, he said, my dear friends, my dear disciples, don't take refuge in anything outside of you. In every one of us, there is a very safe island we can go to. Every time you go home to that island with mindful breathing, you create a space of relaxation, concentration, and insight. If you dwell on that island in yourself with your mindful breathing, you are safe. That is a place where you can take refuge whenever you feel fearful, uncertain, or confused. When you practice being aware of your breathing, you generate the energy of mindfulness. This is called mindfulness of breathing. That energy of mindfulness is the Buddha, because a Buddha is made of mindfulness. And every one of us is capable of generating the energy of mindfulness, the energy of the Buddha. With the practice of mindful walking and mindful breathing, you generate this powerful energy. You take refuge in that energy of mindfulness. It's a kind of light that shines forth and shows you clearly where you are and what is the next step you want to take. That's important, the next step. What you're going to do. When you practice mindful breathing, the energy generated helps reduce the tension in your body and your feelings. There may be tension in your body. There may be strong emotions in you, like fear and despair. The energy of mindfulness is embracing, calming, and releasing the tension and suffering. This energy calms you and eases your fear. Taking refuge in the island of self doesn't mean that you leave the world. It means that you go back to yourself and you become more solid. It's possible to walk in the city and still be an island of yourself. Your response to what's going on around you will be quite different if you are solid and not overwhelmed. There may be tension in your body. There may be strong emotions. When you practice mindful breathing, the energy of mindfulness helps release the tension in your body and your feelings and reduce the suffering. After 1 or 2 minutes of this concrete practice of taking refuge in the safe island within yourself, you feel calm. You no longer feel trapped in fear or despair, and those feelings are transformed. I practice this verse. Well, he'd said a verse, it's like the ones I said frequently. I have been using it for nearly 30 years already, and I continue to use it. So now a very short bit about then listening deeply. We've stopped, we've recognized, we've stopped, we've gotten calm and found that deep Buddha nature right here. And then what are we going to do? Listening deeply to what arises. He says, we think we have to remove that feeling or emotion of fear or whatever to be free again. So the beautiful sunrise can penetrate us. We consider our fear, anger, and worries as enemies. We think that without them, we would be free, and that these feelings get in the way, so we cannot receive the nourishment we need. However, it is in moments like this that we stick to our mindful breathing and gently recognize our afflictions. Supposing we are feeling worry or anxiety, we practice breathing in. I know that anxiety is in me, breathing out. I smile to my anxiety. So smile to it. And then the next thing, what we do, we listen deeply. And I do this. I come to either my cushion or if I'm driving, wherever, once I get calm, I listen deeply. What is it? What's arising? What's going on? What's going on here? And I come to this not in a think, like, oh, I got to figure it out kind of way, because that won't work. But it's in a meditative way, breathing in just what is it? And then I don't even think that question too much, but just let that permeate my whole body. What is it? Listening kindly. And often old images or words might arise. Kind of, sometimes it feels like sludge or seaweed from the bottom of the ocean is coming up. Old patterns, stuff my brothers told me or said to me, to put me down, and now I feel fear. A lot of things arise, and I go, I keep breathing, and I just notice what comes up. What are the thoughts, the feelings, the old prohibitions that arise? And at some point, there's a real recognition. Oh, that's what's going on. That's it. And I might not be able to fix it or change it right away, but I'm able to be with that and just recognizing, oh, that's what's really capturing me, allows me to release. And I can breathe with whatever is arising with kindness and care and love. sometimes once I do this, then I'll get ideas of what to do, of how to respond. Or I'll get a thought of who I need to talk to. And that goes into Thich Nhat Hanh's next section, because he talks about our fears, big fears, terrorism, societal fears, fears for our planet, our children, grandchildren. And then he speaks about the importance of Sangha, of sharing, doing the work to come and settle inside yourself, but also share, whether with one person or a group, but to bring it forth together so it's held. It's not you trying to just with your little ego handle this. And he really emphasizes that Sangha and communication is part of the fruit of transforming our fears. I want to just speak of one little example of this, and that's something that you're involved in, Anne. Anne, may I speak about, you're involved with the Braver Angels group, and they get together people of diverse viewpoints and backgrounds, and probably you have a lot of fears for the world, right? And are very perhaps entrenched one way or another. And they skillfully help the group settle some and be able to really listen, not only inside, but to each other. And I think some of the judgments, the preconceptions fall away. And they're not going for agreement, they're going for understanding. And this is what really transforms fear in that kind of sense and opens pathways for communication and perhaps for new ideas, new solutions to come forth. Well, I think I'm just about to wrap up here because we got to talk together. I just think it's really important to stop and find this way of calming and then be curious with what is arising. What are those fears connected to? Let them teach you, and then you'll know your next step. So I had thought, oh, maybe I could do a closing, a nice guided relaxation, but I don't have time. So I don't want to cheat you out of it completely. So let's just do 3 or however many quiet, calming breaths you get before I ring the bell for 3. Just feels better, doesn't it? Just that. We can do it anywhere, anytime. So let's have some groups. We have a little time, don't we? Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
just, that was really helpful. I felt like, we just bathed the baby Buddha.
Yeah.
And it felt like being, at the vigil last night, something got triggered in me that I just knew was ancient twisted karma. And I was really trying not to go down old stories and I'm just sitting feeling in my body, oh, this is just fear. This is just ancient twisted fear. And I'm gonna have to keep working with it because I know the trigger point, it's like, but that was, and the only other thing I wanted to add to it is because the thing about in the womb,
Yeah.
which seems very Vietnamese and very beautiful, but I also know a lot of my trauma and fear came from the womb because my mother had trauma in the womb.
Very good point.
So I can imagine a little cloud place that doesn't have anything to do with my genetic lineage, but I also know how deep the fear is that happen from inception.
And that's really important, whatever, because we do hear sounds and we get also the fear chemicals and stuff that our parents might be giving, our mom might be giving off and get bathed in that as well, right? So all that's to say, to be really kind with yourself around fear and in working with it and just, yeah,
And the lineage of the womb we
the
came through.
lineage of the womb we came
It's
through.
mad at my mother, but when I realized the trauma that got passed. it's like,
Generational.
Oh, it's just, oh.
That's-
And I'm wondering, instead of groups.
Just
is-
right
is-
here?
It just is, yeah.
Sure.
That's sort of
Well,
what
so I was gonna ask
Go.
you, just did anything, that arose that you'd like to share? Or about this, or does your practice